फूलों की मुस्कान भी नारी, कोमलता का प्रतीक भी नारी, आ जाए जिद पर जब प्रतिज्ञा का भी प्रतीक है नारी. With this, I Manvi Saraswat welcome you all in today's session hosted by Parak on the issue, are women really safe in this era of technology? For that, we have two special guests. First is Samriddhi Kanpal from Uttaranchal University, Dehradun. And next is Shifali Agarwal from University of Delhi. Women have always been the center of many issues prevailing in the country, or if I say in the whole world. And in this age of digitalization, where things could be as easy on your tip of the finger, but are women really safe in this? So, to tell you more about this, I would be taking the introductory remarks of both the speakers. First, I would go with Samriddhi. Please tell your opinions on this issue.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Manvi, for that introduction. So, as we all know, that technology certainly, is an amalgamation of various aspects that nowhere seem to find its association with the aspects like gender. It is an independent arena of the issues such as gender that is meant for just the advancements and is not proportional to the involvement of any gender in it. That means that if there are more number of boys, we can say that technology would be growing up so fast, and if it's opposite happens, that is if we see girls more into the field of technology, that doesn't mean that it will go down. So it is an independent arena that is not proportional to the involvement of any gender in it. And as a provider of unprecedented opportunities, as we know, the global participation and digitalization, technology has certainly proved to be one of the most positive aspects of the past few decades. So, if we talk about the indulgence of women in technology in the age of digitalization, especially, it has inevitably been one of the topics that is keenly looked forward in terms of their participation, their contribution, the positive and the possible profitability of the women, and is it comprises of many significant aspects. But since the last few years, this topic of the participation of women in technology has magnetized itself with an aspect that confronts with the pitfalls of technology, and which means the negative aspects of technology, and that is the concern of women's safety. So, an article by Christy Crabtree and Petronil Guerra in the International Journal of Humanitarian Action, they talk of the advantages of technology that need to be reconciled with two indispensable aspects. And these two indispensable aspects are the unique barriers for women and girls to access and utilize technology. And number two, the risks that technology might increase harm or gender based violence. So these are some of the factors that justify the reasons of the visible gender-based violence that we see, and that considers basically of the privacy concerns, the gender gap in technology, the masculinization of the technology sector, and all that. So if we take into consideration all these factors in these several instances, we can see that I would not deny stating forth the fact that women's safety is seriously a matter of deep concern. And as we all know, this technology as a field has dwindled and has not given positive outcomes in terms of women's participation. So it is doubtless to say that women are not safe in this age of digitalization. And but again, concluding my remarks, I would say that it doesn't mean that technology and digitalization are not meant for women. Women's involvement in technology has been a booster, but a few hindrances are there that need to be confronted with, and that are also a result of the socio-cultural setup we are currently in, that include the gender differences or the stereotypes that prevail in a society. And if we consider and take into several actions and steps, we can certainly improve the position of women in the digital arena. So that would be my introductory remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samriddhi, and you have very well presented. Now, moving ahead, we have Shifali with us. Shifali, present your points on this crucial issue.
Thank you so much, Manvi. First of all, I like to say that the advancement and easy adoption of technology has been a really has proliferated in last 2 decades. The advancement of technology has made the world a global village. The pandemic made us realize how much important the internet connectivity is. However, we also saw the fact that there was a digital divide along with the gender disparity being seen in the rural areas. Now, another issue that come to the limelight during this pandemic was the cyber crimes that were happening against everyone, especially against women and children. There has been an increase of 11.8% in the crimes against women in 2020. This is a huge increase as compared to the earlier years. So, what makes these cyber criminals motivate? What motivates these cyber criminals to do such offenses is definitely this gender biases that exist in our societies. Women are considered to be a vulnerable group in our societies, and they are reinforced. These ideas are reinforced by the people living in the society. Many of us must have seen those absurd things being commented and circulated all over the social media platforms about women. And what do? We just laugh them off and just forward them. They are just jokes. They are just jokes meant for us, right? But that's not the case. They're not just jokes. They are things that have an imprint on our mental screen. They may help us in making an image about the women. This promotes and encourages these criminals to act against women in such a way that the privacy of a woman is breached to an extent that the extortion, they extort money from them. Not just that, women and everybody who's attacked with the cyber crimes faces mental harassment along with the financial one. The mental harassment is much more riskier than the financial one because it leads to anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorders, which is really depressing in the recent days. So those are my views on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shefali. So now we would be moving towards our questioning round. I would be asking 3 questions to both these speakers. So starting with Samriddhi. Samriddhi, my first question to you is, as you know, the Bully By app, which is basically consulted with the auction of Muslim women on a dating application. What are your views on it?
All right. So if I come forward to that question, we can see that this is one of the most recently witnessed case in terms of cyber security of women. So first of all, Bully By app. It's obviously a case we'll come upon to, but the NCRB's official website, it defines bullying as a serious health problem that may include physical or verbal injury, but as well as it includes the social isolation or exclusion. So if we consider the case of Bully By app, where 3 people were arrested on an investigation that were followed after an app that apparently seemed to demean Muslim women using their morphed pictures. And, it went on further to the action by giving them online fake auction. So the controversy, it all got built upon the app that we Bully By app, which was on the hosting platform of GitHub, which is also, interesting to know that it is an app that is hosted by Microsoft. So the online pictures of Muslim women, including the journalists, the activists, the students, and the others, were auctioned and were posted without their consent. So if you see such a case, there was no actual auction or sale that was taking place. The app seemed to humiliate and demean the women by using derogatory pictures of them, by doctoring the pictures, and many of the women were the social media users who were active on the social media accounts. So it is not just about a particular religion that we can talk about. It's about humiliating and intimidating a set of women who are very much active on the social media accounts. So also we see that the Mumbai police registered an FIR against the developers of the Bully By app for the online auction and sale. And and all the people who were the behind all this happening taking place, they were who actually promoted the application and who handled the Twitter accounts. It was not just the Bully By app, it was a set of apps that were taking place. It was Twitter, it was the GitHub platform, and it was the Bully By app. And hundreds of Muslim women were auctioned. And if we all know that Ismat Ara was the journalist who was the first one to have filed a complaint against this all this happening that happened to her. And it is also interesting to know that this app is called also, resembles a similar happening that happened in the last year, and the app was solely deals. Then that app and this app seem to move to a straight path, that is doctoring the pictures of women and putting them on social media platforms without their consent. And I feel that such instances, like we discussed as of bully by, they increase the fury of women who are either involved in social media platforms actively, or they even put the women in a dilemmatic situation who actually wish to be a part of social media someday, because we see that not every woman has an access to internet or cell phones also. So if we see that if such instances take place, they not only put the active women social media users to a vulnerable position, but they also fill up the doubt of many other women who are not a part of social media platform, because when such incidents take place, they put women on a vulnerable end and a dilemmatic situation. If the woman who is devoid of all internet access and digitalization, if she really would wish to be a part of it, all after seeing all these things happening. And I just conclude my answer by stating a statistic that was done by Lindert in the year 2017, where they said that the link between cyberbullying and mental health problems has been extensively documented. And then on an average, if we see, 12% of girls have been cyberbullied in comparison of 8% of the boys who have faced cyberbullying on the social media platforms. And girls are, thus we can see, the victimization, the center, victim of all these happenings taking place in all the countries, except the report said in the countries except Denmark, Israel, and Spain, where the condition of women is much more better when it comes to cybersecurity. And therefore, we can see that how such acts have humiliated and intimidated women, and such other issues, and which are the pitfalls of technology we can see. So this is how I would see the bully by app case.
Thank you so much, Samriddhi. Now, when I first heard about bully by app, it is totally inhuman. और मुझे ये सोच के कभी लगता है कि कभी लड़कियां या जो औरतें हमारे समाज में फील कर पाएंगी सेफ या नहीं। तो इसी से मुझे एक प्रसिद्ध कविता की कुछ पंक्तियां याद आती है कि छोड़ो मेहंदी खडक संभालो, खुद ही अपना चीर बचा लो, द्युत बिछाए बैठे शकुनी, मस्तक सब झुक जाएंगे, सुनो द्रौपदी शस्त्र उठा लो, अब गोविंद न आएंगे। With this, we would be moving to our next question with Shefali. Shefali, tell us about the percentage of participation of women on various sectors.
Thank you so much, Manvi. So first of all, I'll be speaking about the first wave of feminism. In the Western countries, the first wave of feminism started in 1840s and lasted till 1920s. So it basically was a struggle by the middle class women for their voting rights and improving their political, economic, and educational rights. These kind of rights were demanded in the after the Indian freedom struggle, and we can see them in the Indian feminism. It was a second wave. It was considered to be a second wave after independence, where we made systematical developmental goals for women. An example for this could be the Hindu court bills that were passed in relation to the Succession, Adoption, Marriage Acts. So these bills recognize the importance of women and their political and economic values. So moving on, now I'll tell you about the representation in different sectors. So though the rates are increasing in different sectors, the pace is very, very slow. So I have some statistics from the United Nations report, and it says that in October 2019, there were only 10 women heads of the state and 13 women head of government across 22 countries, as compared to 4 heads and of state and 8 prime minister across 12 countries in 1995. Now, we can take an example from India itself. Since 2010, the bill for women representation bill has been pending in the parliament and still remains pending. So we can see there's a patriarchal mindset out here who would they're trying to marginalize the women from the spheres where they can make a difference. So this is all, and along with that, I'll just tell you some other sectors as well. For the Nobel Prize, there were there are 900 individuals who've been awarded Nobel Prize. Out of that, only 53 are women, and only 19 have been awarded Nobel Prize in the fields of physics, chemistry, physiology, or medicine. So it's really a concerning number as to why the women are not taking up these fields, the science fields. Next, I'll talk about the Oscar. The Oscar, in the history of Oscar, only 5 women directors have been selected have been nominated for the award, and only one woman has won it. A similar kind of disparity can be seen in the payoffs. We have generally heard in news that, and we have seen it even, that the pays, the payoffs or to the female leads or the female actresses and various other um, mm, uh, sectors in the society are paid. Females are paid less as per to the as their counterparts, the male counterparts. So अगर एक फीमेल को एक प्रोजेक्ट के शी इज बीइंग पेड 1 लाख रुपीज फॉर द सेम प्रोजेक्ट, द मेल वुड बी पेड अराउंड 1.5 लाख रुपए के अराउंड उसको पे होगा. तो देयर इज सम डिस्पैरिटी. And even after the equality laws, implementation remains to be somehow restricted. अब हम बात करते हैं स्पोर्ट्स के स्पेयर्स में. सो टोक्यो ओलंपिक वाज 2020 जो अभी हुआ था, उसमें इट वाज रियली अ थिंग दैट आउट ऑफ 11,900 एथलीट्स, 5,704 वर मेन and 5,386 were female. And it was made sure that the National Olympic committees of 206 countries send at least one female Olympians to the Olympics. So the numbers are increasing. The representation of the women in different sectors is increasing. But what remains to be seen is that, are they provided the same opportunity? Are they provided the same pay? Are they being given the same respect as per their counterparts? And is it that what's the reason behind this slow rates and the slow change in the society? So that's my take on your question, Manvi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shefali, for presenting your statistics as well. Now we would be moving to the second question with Samriddhi. So Samriddhi, my question to you is, do you believe that the less participation of women in the field of technology is a strong reason for their vulnerable position in the digital world?
All right, Manvi. So that is again a very important question that we can discuss upon when it comes to cybersecurity and women in it. So first of all, if we consider technology, we can see that in our country, STEM as a subject is not highlighted. We always see people discussing about technology, science, medicine. That's it. So STEM is one of the branch that we can discuss upon when it comes to women's representation in technology. So STEM basically it means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it is crucial to realize that the gender gap or the insecure position of women that we see in the digital arena or the digital domain, it holds its root, that is, deep down to the subject matter of less participation of women scholars in the STEM subjects. And I firmly believe that this is the case why women are put to a vulnerable position because they opt less for STEM subjects, which eventually decreases their participation, their representation, and eventually their strong, bold position in front of the digital attackers. So area of STEM, however, that we all see that these areas have predominantly remained to be a choice for males more and for females less. And we experience it in our daily lives, obviously, because we witness the less participation of women in such fields of technology. And this underrepresentation of women in STEM sectors might also put them on a verge of getting totally ghosted from the social media accounts, because we see there is a perception that women are not meant for technology, they are more meant for humanities or something. So we can see that if the representation of women remains less, it gradually decreases, then it will totally, technology will totally replace women in a way. So the International Monetary Fund's study on this matter in the year 2018 indicated that women more than men perform more routine task jobs, and they are quite opposite to the tasks that are performed by men, which are technical, and about 11% of female workforce, as compared to the 9% of workforce, are at a high risk of automation, because it is all because of the unequal ownership of STEM skills, the capabilities, the unequal STEM access and awareness. Therefore, if we increment the enrollment of women in the subjects of STEM, it will certainly prove to be a crucial step to improve their position in the society. And because the relevant skills of STEM will provide an environment to prove their retention, basically. So we can see that involvement of women in STEM will not only reduce the gender gap in the digital domain, but it will also prevent the leakage of competent, productive, and a valuable human capital that women can positively contribute to any country's economy. And we can see that girls are less likely to study the STEM subjects, and one of the reasons why women working in the field of technical industries and other industries is that women study STEM subjects less. And this was a report that was made by Women in Tech by PwC, where they said that according to the research, 83% of the boys in the high school opt for STEM subjects, while only 64% of the girls study the STEM subjects in their high school. And it is also crucial to see that how 17% of the boys studied physics, which was pretty much a greater number in comparison to just 7% of girls who studied physics. And the same gender disparity is even evident in the university level, because where there in the university level we can see that around 52% of the males take STEM related courses, in contrast to only 30% of women taking the STEM courses. And this is because there is this mentality that is inculcated in the minds of women, because they don't find it interesting. We can see that most of the girls opt for humanities, because this has been embedded in their minds that they are made for those subjects more and less for the technology based subjects. And according to the report, some girls avoided STEM because they feel that they are better in humanities and other essay based subjects. So we can see that arts has already been a more relevant option when it comes to the women choosing a subject in the university level. And if we see that other girls' perceptions, they find the STEM subjects to be unappealing. That's what the report said. And because girls do not find it relevant to their career paths they intend to choose, they drop the STEM subjects. But despite all the progress that has been made by women, things do not look so rosy when it comes to the tech industry, because women obviously have a less participation. And for decades, we can see that the careers in the technical industry and other STEM fields have not been very much welcoming for women, because there is a huge gender gap between men and women in the STEM fields, which has eventually led to the masculinization of the technological field. So this gap that we see manifests itself through various aspects that include the employment opportunities, the wages, the leadership opportunities, the perception of women at workplace, and so on. And that is the reason why I think the less representation, or the women scholars choosing the STEM subjects lesser in comparison to men, has certainly put them on a vulnerable position, because that eventually leads to non-inclusive company culture, where the report again said that about around 30 to 40% of the females will leave their job by the age of 35, because they don't find the ambience to be so much suitable for them. And it's I think it's all because of a result of this, because of the less representation and less adoption of such subjects.
Thank you so much, Samriddhi, and thanks for telling us about the STEM as well. And now we would be moving to the fourth question, which is with Shefali. Shefali, do you believe that globalization has made cyber attacks more likely, and what role does digital feminism play in combating them?
Basically, the globalization has definitely made the world a smaller village, where one could be sitting at their place, not even sitting in the same city, and attacking the other person through cyberspace. तो देखा जाए तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन ने हमारे कल्चरल आइडियाज को एक्सचेंज किया, हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी को एक्सचेंज किया है, हमारी इकोनॉमिक रिस्पॉन्सेस को बढ़ाया है. इसकी वजह से जो इंटरनेट के डेवलपमेंट हुआ है, इंटरनेट का डेवलपमेंट हुआ है, उसकी वजह से जो साइबर स्पेस है वो एक्सपैंड हुआ है. साइबर स्पेस एक्सपैंड होने की वजह से इट्स बीन सीन दैट साइबर क्राइम्स इंक्रीज हुए हैं, बिकॉज to attack someone you don't need to be there present in that city, not even in that country. I could be sitting in India and someone may be sitting in USA or Africa or somewhere and attacking and retrieving my personal information from my laptop even without my knowledge. So such things have definitely grown, and we have seen such examples in the recently. Like we talked about the Bully Buy app, though it was in India, but yeah, it's an example of cyber, right? So it can be seen that. And moreover, talking about the activism, so there are women who like to speak up their opinion. So they are suppressed on the media platforms, and they are threatened, they are trolled. Not just trolled, even they are threatened to an extent that at times they are so vulnerable that they have to file a complaint, and they are so threatened that somebody knocks at their door at night, and all the stuff like that do happen in reality. It's the real image of a society that such things do happen. So in digital activism and digital feminism have a role to play in bringing down those stuff, especially when these when the women who face such situation can let other people know who can support them. Maybe someone is facing same situation but is not coming up just because of the mental stigma of defamation, or due to the pressure from the cyber criminals or something like that. But digital feminism has a role because it helps in spreading information. Use a hashtag. See the movement, Me Too movement, how it started. It originated from a small, I won't say a small city or a country, but yeah, it originated with us, with women coming up for themselves, speaking for themselves. So this is how we can use digital feminism in the uh, globalized world.
Thank you so much, Shifali. So now we would be moving to the last question, which is going to be with both the speakers. First of all, as you all know, that government has made certain initiatives to ensure the safety for women. So Samriddhi, what's your take on the international initiatives which are being made for women?
All right. So we have already discussed much about cybersecurity and women's insecure position in the digital domain. So it is now also important to discuss what might be the possible and the appropriate proposals that could be made to improve the women's position. So if we talk about the international laws or that are based on cybersecurity and bullying, so we can see that the United Nations in the last year launched two important initiatives that were based on cybersecurity, and these two were a group of governmental experts that was acronymed as GGE, and in the group of governmental experts, representatives of over 25 countries focused upon advancing responsible state behavior in cyberspace. And the second one was the open-ended working group, that is OEWG, where it was open to all member states of the United Nations, as well as it was also meant for the limited number of non-governmental actors. So these were the two important initiatives that we can see that were taken by the United Nations. And also we can see that Microsoft encouraged that the United Nations have organized the first ever multitasker cybersecurity conference with industries, with non-governmental organizations and academia as well. So this conference took place in the UN headquarters from the 2nd to 4th. And besides all these two or three possible proposals that were made, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, that is ratified by 167 states, it provides in Article 17, which states that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his or her privacy in family, home, or correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks on his or her honor and reputation. So it basically meant to state that everyone has the right to protection of the law against such interference or attacks that might be physically, verbally, or even in the cyberspace as well. So we can see that the digital revolution has opened new opportunities for the women, and also there have been certain proposals that have been made by the G20 to spur the goal of gender equality that we all talk about. So G20 in its official website says that the digital revolution characterized by artificial intelligence, we know, the big data, the cloud computing, and all the mobile robotics that we can see that obviously improves the female participation in economic life and enhance their socio-economic stability and the social autonomy of women as well. Because mobile and digital technologies offer women their potential to bypass some of the traditional cultural and mobility barriers that we all talk about, the gender stereotypes or the socio-cultural setup or the patriarchal setup. Because and such initiatives that G20 talks about, it basically aims to, for the emergence of women as a strong and a bold gender in the developing countries. And digital technologies could, therefore help women to access new markets, to have access to work flexibility and work distantly as well. So the proposal that was made by the G20 was that, given the potential of gender gap persistence to undermine any future gains to women from digitalization, the G20 leaders took an action, and they seem to resolve to do this. Because since there was a conference in 2012 in Los Cabos Summit, where they repeatedly committed themselves to overcome the barriers that prevented the full economic and social participation of women. And several other studies that were made analyze the challenge of digitalization for women, for gender equality, that have already come up with several recommendations. And we can see that the situation has quite improved for, it has proved to be remedial for women's position. And if I talk about what the proposals were, they included providing universal, affordable, secure, and open broadband internet access, fostering female digital literacy, and encouraging more women to enter tertiary education that we see is obviously STEM. And if I talk about in India, like, not the government initiatives of India, but taking in mind the STEM subjects that we can see in the Western nations, the recently approved National Education Policy of 2020 has also proposed several progressive reforms in the education system, because it has its emphasis on the flexibility of curriculum and STEM. And it has specifically been mentioned there, the subjects of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So these could be the some of the applaudable initiatives that have been taken on an international level, and several of them have been implemented in India as well. Because and they have obviously, over the last 5 years, we can see that the digital disruptions have transformed the way companies conduct their business, and this has certainly improved the position of women.
Okay, thank you so much, Samriddhi. So now, Shefali, I would like to take your take on the national initiatives for the security of women.
So first of all, I like to tell you that India ranked 10th in the Global Cybersecurity Index in 2020, launched by the International Telecommunication Union, and 4th in the Asia Pacific region. This shows the commitment of the government to make and secure the environment, the cyberspace in our country. So there are various laws and initiatives dealing with the cyber security. First of all, I'll mention few of them. So National Cyber Policy 2013 was prepared with consultation with all the stakeholders, like the public, the IT professionals, and obviously the government. It aims at facilitating creation of secure computing environment and enabling educate trust and confidence in electronic transmission, and also guiding stakeholders action for protection of cyberspace. So next initiative is Cyber Surakshit Bharat initiative. The purpose of this program is to spread awareness and build capacity, as well as enable government departments on steps that need to be taken to create resilient IT infrastructure. Next is the National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So it aims at securing the securing and making resilient information infrastructure for critical sectors of of our society, especially in relation to the economic ones. So we can see like the power sector, the nuclear sector. So it's basically an initiative wherein the government tries to reduce the unauthorized access by the cyber criminals. Next is the Cyber Swachhta Kendra. It is basically a part of Digital India, wherein it is created to secure cyberspace by detecting botnet infections in India. And you can go onto their site and check out what are the various softwares as an individual you can install to avoid your information being leaked in the public. Next, I'd like to tell you about the online cybercrime reporting portal. It is basically an online portal for complaining and filing complaints. So it deals with the cyber crimes with special focus to crimes against women and children. So this portal, so there are various acts that regulates this cybercrime. The first is the Information Technology Act, and the second is Indian Penal Code 1860. So there are various sections under these acts which governs the cyber activities in India. Moreover, I like to inform you that there are you can just complain yourself, file your complaint using this portal anonymously as well, or the person who has an somebody who has information about the cybercrime and is not a victim can also respond to this. But in those cases, you'll have to fill out some basic details like the incident, time, date, of the event, the platform on which the crime was conducted. If you have any suspicion, or the suspect's details need to be filled, and the victim's details need to be filled, the address, the name, and father's name. All such details are necessary to be filed. And it's really very necessary to fill the correct details for proper implementation and for proper readdressal of your problem. In March 2021, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology had notified Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code rules. It aimed to control the hate speech and basically through social media, digital news, and the OTT, over-the-top platforms. That's all about the initiative I'd like to inform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shefali, and thank you to both of you. And now we have come to an end of our questioning round. Now I would like to take your concluding remarks, basically. So Samriddhi, starting with you, please present your conclusion.
All right, if I conclude all of this that we talked about today, we can see that digitalization has offered a variety of opportunities for female empowerment and for a more equal female participation of in the areas of labor markets and entrepreneurship as well. And currently we see that digitalization seems to favor female labor force that faces lower risk of being replaced by machines as compared to male labor force, because we can see that although the participation of women is less in technology, but still they are doing very much well. So women's often more superior skills than men, the more superior social skills than men gives them a comparative advantage in the digital age, in the digital platforms. And this is particularly so when social skills are complemented with higher education that we can give to women and the advanced digital literacy that we can provide to women. Their position will surely be, it will be improved. And current gender inequalities that exist, they prevent women obviously from fully benefiting from opportunities that digitalization offers to all of us. And women, they often find themselves trapped in a vicious circle because of the gender gaps, because of the cultural restrictions that are towards female autonomy in many emerging and developing economies that tend to prevent women from accessing the digital services that could actually help women to overcome some of these restrictions of the cultural setup, the socio-cultural setup, and the mindset, the patriarchal views and all that. And women's position in the digital arena along with their safety is an issue that seriously needs to be confronted. And it might sound cliche again, but it will only be the small steps that will make a big difference. Because in India, we can see that only 29% of the internet users are female, and the girls in rural areas often face gender based restrictions on their use of information and communication technologies. So we can believe, I firmly believe that the availability of technological accessories, improving the lives of women through technology, and what I think, the creation of affordable technologies that promote women's safety, even in the regions of low level of literacy, low level of connectivity, are some of the most basic things that could help a women, that could prove to be a transforming step towards improving the lives of women. I'll just conclude it by a remark by Sandrine De Villiera and Anu Madgavkar in their project Syndicate, where they said that digital technologies are a double-edged sword for the world of women, and men's greater access to technologies puts a women of at a risk of being further behind economically and socially. But if women can tap the full power of technologies, vital new opportunities will open up for them. And as Meghan Markle has rightly said, women don't need to have a voice. They already have a voice. They just need to feel empowered to use that voice and come up stronger in the socio-cultural setup, and obviously in the digital domain. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Samriddhi. Now I would like Shifali. Shifali, please present your summarization of the topic.
So basically, I feel the internet has definitely made our life easy, and it is here to stay, and we'll be adopting to more of the technology like AI. It's also a real fact and a real threat that we face in today's time is the cyber crimes. The only making just legislations and security procedures is not enough. We need some implementation, we need some awareness to be given to the people so that they can protect themselves. It's not the government who will protect you, because in today's world where everything is connected over cyberspace, no one can control the cyberspace. None of the government can control it. They can just make laws, they can try to reduce it, but they cannot effectively control or cut down those rates. So it's a duty of an individual to take some steps so that they're not at a risk of cyber crimes. So first of all, I like to mention few of them. Whenever you are accessing your social media platforms, just don't forget to log out from the devices. Suppose you go to a cyber cafe and you had some printouts and you were scrolling till the printouts are out. You were scrolling through the internet and your social media accounts, and you left that you didn't log out from there. What would happen? Your information is leaked. You are at a serious threat of being friend. Not just you're at a serious threat of information leak, and also from the users, whosoever would come after you would know who you are, what are your how do you look, where do you live, what are your preferences, what do you do. So that puts you in a very vulnerable situation. So please do log out, make secure passwords, don't share it with anybody, not even with your friends and family. Next, keep your friend list close. Like if you're adding some strangers, be cautious about it. And if somebody is making you uncomfortable, learn to block them. It's really, really necessary to block such people and report them. Next, I would say another thing that we often forget about doing is that there are mails, messages. We just click on them, like say, there's been a lottery message from somebody that you'll get loan from somebody at such a low interest rate. So such things are basically a trap for you, for the people. So they'll get your details and make you pay some amount, and you'll pay it, and after that they'll be gone. You'll be fraud. You cannot do anything about it. You can just report it. And yeah, whenever you face such a situation, do contact and do report to the cyber police, the cyber cell, because such events need to be reported, not just because they are something really disturbing. They do have an effect on your economy, on your mental health. Suppose you didn't report it. What's the guarantee that such incidents would stop in future and you won't be attacked again? You won't be contacted again. So such things needs to be reported. And lastly, I would say that these measures may sound cliche, and these been repeatedly said by the people all around us, but they are really necessary for us to take care of ourselves. That's my take on the whole topic. Thank you so much, Manvi.
Thank you so much, Shifali. So now, as most of you must have presented very well, and then you have presented all of the facts. तो अब मैं और क्या ही बोलूं, लेकिन मेरा अभी भी मानना है कि अभी भी काफी बदलाव जरूरी है जो आना है। और इसी के साथ मैं इस कार्यक्रम को समाप्त करना चाहूंगी कुछ पंक्तियों के साथ कि करुणा के सागर को धार बना के तुम भी लहरों सी हुंकार करो, अबला नहीं हो तुम नारी, इस बात का अभिमान करो। धन्यवाद।